I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream, I dream of you amid the flowers for a couple of hours. Such a beautiful day.
So here we are in the new 1.6 litre diesel Honda Civic. Now this is quite an important car for Honda, or more importantly an important engine, as this diesel engine is part of their new Earth Dreams diesel program. It's officially labelled an i-DTEC engine, and with 300 Newton meters of torque on offer, it has some potential. This specific Civic will do 78 miles to the gallon, which is quite impressive on the old ecology front. But what about the car itself? As we go over some rather bumpy roads. The ride isn't quite as silky soft as what you'd want it, but on the whole you still have this quite stylish, quite unique looking hatchback that really does stand out amongst competitors. I have heard some negative feedback around its appearance. Personally, in this white, which is a £500 optional extra unfortunately, it looks pretty sharp, I think, particularly with these 16-inch alloy wheels. Probably should say that this is the £23,500 top spec EX model. That means it comes loaded with kits such as satellite navigation, touchscreen technology, heated seats, and a whole load more for your money. So that makes this car quite expensive. Now, really, there's two parts to this review. There's what I think of the car personally, as a young 20-something-year-old reviewing it, and there's also what is, I suppose, more appropriate, what people who would go and buy this car in the real world expect. So let's start with what I think of the car. I think the car is a very well sorted, comfortable, and very well built hatchback. It's got its Japanese reliability. It's, you know, everything feels solid, everything feels very well made. It's typical Honda. This gearbox is absolutely fantastic. Honda's gearbox is really, at the moment, a second to none. They're just proper clunk and it's in. The brakes are particularly good on this car. A lot of confidence and stopping power. The steering's a little bit, it's nice and light around town, but it seems to lack feedback whenever you're up to pace. Pace is my other keynote on this car, really. Obviously it's a diesel engine, so all of the power's really low down, and that 300 Newton meters of torque, sort of round about 2000 RPM, that's where you're probably not really worth pushing anymore. You probably noticed we've stopped several times during this video. That's because we're in the roundabout capital of the world that is Swindon. Luckily we navigated that one without a lorry going to the side of us, because that's a 4-lane roundabout with no traffic lights. The Arc de Triomphe of the UK or what? Anyway, back on topic, or actually linking this to Swindon. This car's actually built in Swindon, so there you go, not quite so off topic. Yeah, I mean, I like the car as a whole. It's very much suited to being more of a motorway cruiser though, because I mean this is equipped with cruise control. You hit that, off you go. It has no problem overtaking the juggernauts on the motorway. That torque gives you this lovely surge past people. It's brilliantly efficient. The fuel tank has quite a nice long range. And yeah, so in the respect of what it is as a car in isolation, it's actually quite nice to drive. It's very relaxing. The sort of car that you want to climb into after a long day at work just to take you home. How does it fare against competitors? Ooh, it's sort of close but no cigar. Personally, I still think the Focus is the pick of the bunch. the weight of this diesel engine up front is noticeable over the petrol, which dampens the handling slightly. It just makes it wash out a little bit sooner. Get past this fire engine. That torquey diesel engine there, saving us from having a big red truck in our side. But yeah, I mean, the engine performs well as a whole. I can't really fault it for being a diesel. But you see, this is where my first part of the review comes to an end, because I'm young, I would never go out myself and buy a car such as this. This is for sort of like the 40, 50-year-old with some money to spend on optional extras, wants the fuel economy, cares more about getting from A to B. And from that respect, you know, I think it's top of its class, because you're not so caught up on handling dynamics. You're more concerned about boot space, of which this car has lots of. You're also more concerned about seating space. There's lots of headroom, there's plenty of leg room in the back. These leather seats are actually quite supportive. You've got something called magic seats in the back, which means the base of them can fold up like cinema seats, meaning that you have all that boot space for something heavy, and in the middle you can put all your fragile items. It's quite a clever system from Honda there. However, if you are sort of that middle-aged person, you're quite likely also the sort of person who wants to put reading glasses on to read the newspaper. And I'm afraid the ergonomics of this car, I'm not a fan of. I mean, on the steering wheel alone, you have 13 buttons to operate various things, from menus and radio and whatnot. You've also, around the satellite navigation screen, got 20 odd buttons. Now, I'm one of these young lads from the gadgets and gizmos generation. I had to break out the instruction manual, which is unfortunately something I'm ashamed to admit, as it's not particularly manly, as we go around another roundabout, to pair my phone. It took me 20 minutes to pair my phone to this car. So I can't see someone, say, like my dad, having the patience to sit down and do that. He would have to get somebody else to do it. As a machine that moves and functions, it ticks every box for its preferred target market. But as a complete package versus its competitors, it's not top of class. Overall, it's a great car. It is a good car. I think if you purchased one, you'd be happy with it, and if you were willing to part with the £23,500 that this particular car costs, I think you'd have something that's very comfortable, very refined. You'd have all of the toys under the sun, dual zone climate control, etc. But then you've got to ask yourself, would you rather the driving dynamics of a Focus, or would you rather the added comfort that this Civic has? I guess at that point it comes down to personal preference. Another little feature of this car is its Econ mode, which can help save you further fuel by various fuel-saving measures in the engine. It's got start-stop. We're in Econ at the moment. The dashboard changes colour according to how environmentally friendly I am being. It's a good system for saving fuel. I've had it in Econ most of the time I've had this car, and I haven't really felt like it's hindered me in any way. So points to Honda for being green. So I think let's comment on the engine and then the car separately. The engine is a fantastic unit. It runs very smooth. It's a bit grumbly when it starts up and it's cold, but once it gets going, it's very smooth. Nice, smooth power delivery, and a fantastic motor to go cruising. Put it in the CR-V later this year. How it handles the extra weight, I'm not sure until we try it. But this car, as a complete package with this engine, suits it very well. Personally, I'd have the petrol engine, but I think you try it yourself. I mean, it's like I won't go as far as to say it's like Marmite, love it or hate it. It's just Some people like custard on their apple pie, some people don't. It doesn't make custard a bad thing, it just means that custard is for some and not for others.